Hello. My name is Aniruddha and I welcome you to my YouTube channel all about watercolors. The scene I'm sketching today is from the old village part of Mazgaon, a locality in Mumbai. I clicked this photo a few weeks ago around Christmas time. I had some big plans in mind for this scene. But as I started sketching, I quickly realized that it's a lot more difficult than it appears on first sight. I've started today's scene by first painting in the middle values, keeping them connected where I can. Most of the lighter values in the scene I plan to put in at the very end. This approach is rather unorthodox. However, I have seen some brilliant artists approach a rather similar method with great results. Mark Foley does it quite often. His middle value shape is often a lot more watery and he tilts the paper around, forcing all the pigments to flow into one another. I have tried that. However, I can't do it with this particular paper as I don't think it can take that amount of water and wet washes. Another artist who I know who starts with the middle value is this Australian painter named Mike Kowalski. I got one of his online courses for rather cheap and was following along his method just the previous week. That is what inspired me to put out this video right here. As I paint in the wall on the right, I also need to take into account that I will be adding the white krill that you can see in the reference a little later. And I'll be doing that with my white gel pen. As this is a slightly faster drying paper, I have also added in some of the lighter values with the midtones. In this section, most of them are white surfaces being covered by shadow. As I begin to paint some of the darker areas of the yellow building to the left, I was hoping that the paper would still be damp. However, I had no such luck. The complexity of all the overlapping doorways and windows and parapets really made me feel lost when I was putting in this section. At most times like these, I tell myself to trust the process. This time I couldn't even do that as the process is new to me. I want to bring your attention to all of the brushes I've been using so far. For my round brushes, I have a set of Escoda Versatile. I started with the size 12, then began using a size 8. Now I am using I think it's something like a half-inch flat brush. This small flat brush is really handy to have when sketching street scenes like this. With my middle value shape done, I have now decided to start with my line work. As you can see, my initial marks with my Fude nib fountain pen are a little bit hesitant. But as I get into the rhythm of it, as I put down more ink, slowly my speed gets better, my confidence gets better, and my lines just appear that much more playful. I'm going to try and add back some of the lighter values in that yellow section using opaque paint. I'm trying to use buff titanium to make those windows a little lighter, but that isn't a very good idea. I'll just come back with my glass cutter's pencil later to make those lighter. As of now, I'm using some lavender paint to put in those frames for the parapets. The white gel pen that I'm using is a 0.8 tip jelly roll pen. I'll now slowly build up detail on that right hand side blue building. The elements I'm putting in don't need to be exact replications. They just need to indicate some architectural elements. A drainage pipe here, maybe a curtain, dark curtain in front of the window, things like that. The fact that I don't tape down my paper allows me great freedom in rotating it if I want to put in a longer line in a way that my arm is comfortable. I know old school fine artists frown upon this practice as they say that you can't use this technique on an easel. However, I have a background in industrial design, and from where I come, it's a technique which is highly useful. Now that the large middle value shape in the foreground is done, I will begin putting in the lighter values of the background. And then at the very end, I will put in the smaller, darker elements of the entire scene. I started by wetting down the sky area, extending the wetness to the roof, and then dropping in some cerulean pigment there. Some of that wet section is also extending into the front part of the blue building. While the sky area is still wet, I will put in some green there to indicate some trees in the background. I don't want there to be any sharp details here, as I want to indicate that those trees are fairly far away. Now for some of the smaller elements within the scene. First, some small shadows. Then the red bottom part of the wall on the blue house. I'm going to paint that wall from left to right and then connect it into the car that is standing there. Painting cars usually takes a little bit of patience with all its complex dynamic curves. You need to keep adding paint and lifting it away. Cars have a very unique shadow that they cast. It's only when you put in that shadow does a car in a street scene look complete. As I put in some of those darker windows, I want my brush strokes to be rough and broken, in spite of the fact that this is a fairly smooth paper. As I began putting in that roof, I felt that it wasn't warm enough. So I lifted some paint up and added some yellow. I'm not entirely sure that actually made much of a difference though. I'm now adding some more of those smaller shapes. While I tried to do as many of them as possible on camera, at this stage the light was fading rather fast. So there were few that I ended up doing off camera. You will of course see those when I share a scan of the finished painting at the end of this video. As we near the end, I also want to request you to kindly like this video and subscribe to my channel. Help it reach as many watercolor and urban sketching enthusiasts as possible. Also, I'm now seeking some ideas from you, my viewers, for future videos on this channel. If there is a scene in your city that you would like me to sketch in my style, go ahead and share it with me on my Ko-fi page along with a small tip for the continuation of this channel. Link is in the description down below. I'm finishing off by adding some of those fences and grills to the scene using my pens. Those really add a greater sense of definition and space, and are much easier to do with pens as compared to brushes. I thank you for joining me here today. I hope you learned something new. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll also enjoy some of the content that has just popped up to the right hand side of your screen. See you soon.